What if ETERNAMAX Eternatus was in Gen 1 OU? Now, when I was going to start this video, I was going to start off by saying to you guys, why the heck would you want this? But I did the replays already, and holy crap, this guy, like, I'm not gonna say this guy's gonna fumble. He's definitely too good for Ubers, but it is not a domination. It is not a domination. This guy would not just 6-0 Gen 1 OU teams. You can definitely beat it. And that is just so funny. Like, the only reason I did this at all is because yesterday in my Discord server, we were having another one of our daily VCs. By the way, you should join. We talk a lot about what-if scenarios. And some people were doing some testing with the ETERNATUS-ETERNATUS. And while I was just playing my game, they were talking about, holy crap, Eternatus was the Mewtwo 1v1. Which got me interested. And they were testing Eternatus versus regular Gen 1 OU teams. I didn't really get to see much of that. But I figured, okay, you know what? I'll just look at this anyways. This should be really funny. And while I'm sure Mewtwo, with amnesia and sharing the same speed stat, can probably beat Eternatus 1v1, that's gotta be it. Right? What else would really be able to face it? Right? Yeah, that... I was kinda wrong. I'm not gonna say fully wrong, because everything else by no means is a consistent counter, but it's funny. It's really funny. Now, I don't even think I need to bother going over its stats. It has good attack, great special attack, it shares Jolteon speed, so it's the relevant fastest Pokemon with the best crit rate. It has, I think it, doesn't it literally have Blissey's HP? Like, which is, yep, yeah, literally, it literally has Blissey's HP at 255. That's ridiculous. And along with 250 defenses, which are literally higher than Shuckle. What do you want me to say? That this guy has big number? You try to hit it, it does jack? Well, actually, there is one thing I can say. Because of how Gen 1 OU works, when it comes to the screens, reflect and light screen, you can't actually use them. Because if you do, your defenses go over 1024, which means they go back all the way down to where it goes back to 1. So granted, a lot of the Pokemon can still hit you, but not as much as you would expect it to. But a boosted Mew and Mewtwo can just OHKO. And that's wonderful. Because this guy would be disgusting with screens. Oh wait, it doesn't matter, because he has Substitute with insanely good defenses. I didn't have it for the video, but just know that ETERNAMAX Eternatus has the most insane, like, sub-bulk ever. Not to mention, as you can see here, it has Recover. So, it can unironically just sub and heal off anything. So I guess in actuality, the replays you're about to see here aren't really that accurate. Now that I really think about it. Because I guess if you're going for Substitute, a lot of these strategies just won't work. But then again, even if that's the case, it is still highly entertaining to just see how the replays work out. Especially since, I would say for newbies, most people probably won't bother with Substitute. Because if you're new, unless you're like super familiar with Gen 1, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I'll just use a whole bunch of moves. Because the ground back is allowing us to use a Eterna Beam and Dynamax Cannon. That's a base 100 move, and a Eterna Beam just acts just like Hyper Beam, which means it KOs something you don't have a recharge. Which is funny because it has a much better crit rate than Eterna, or has a much better crit rate than Tauros. It hits slightly harder than Hyper Beam, and you just have a higher special attack stat than Tauros has a physical attack stat with Stab. That sounds amazing. What's the issue? Well, I guess if there's no... Or actually, I guess now that I think about it, I think Substitute's only really super annoying against one of the sets exactly, which you'll probably tell which one it is when you see it. Or for stuff like Widescreen, Chansey, or Alakazam, spamming Recover, hoping you don't get crit, with Thunderwave support. I guess technically Substitute doesn't automatically ruin everything, but it doesn't really matter. Outside of Mewtwo, everything else is not a concrete answer, but it's still insanely funny. I think that's enough stalling around. Let's get right into the replays. Starting off with the king of, Gen 1 Ubers himself, Mewtwo. Kind of fumbled there because I wasn't sure what to say exactly. But if you notice Hyper Beam when I went over the pre-analysis, that's literally its only physical attacking move. So yeah, it just can't do anything to Mewtwo, really, outside of a critical Hyper Beam. And if you want proof, by the way, I'll show you proof. So, like, look here. Let's see here. Like, Facad's not in Gen 1. Neither is Meteor Beam or Poison Jab. No Shadow Ball. No Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave. No, like Fly is banned. You have Screech, but that literally only works with Hyper Beam. It's literally only Hyper Beam for your physical attack stat. So, Amnesia users... Well, outside of Mewtwo, it's not guaranteed, because, as you can imagine, having a really good crit rate with an absurdly high stat move is really good. And I'm sure ETERNATUS Beam, whatever it's called, would do a lot of damage to Mewtwo. But at full health, I doubt it's killing Mewtwo, which means Mewtwo could always recover off damage. Although it's definitely something very scary. But I'm not even sure if Eternatus even bothers risking the go for that. Because Mewtwo is just so gosh darn powerful. Not to mention with how low power points it has. I honestly think the best Eternatus set would probably be Recover, Substitute, Hyper Beam, and Flamethrower. Because Flamethrower is your only consistent attack that has a lot of power points. Which is funny. But you can fish with those crits. I guess seeing how much that did, maybe its signature would have done a lot more. But I guess it is worth noting just the actual bulk. Even with Max Special, Psychic isn't a 2-hit KO. But it won't take that long to get a special drop. Especially since Eternatus can't actually hurt Mewtwo that much. But keep in mind, this is still an EterNAX Eternatus. It has insane stats since it was never intended to be used in competitive play. But the fact that Gen 1 mechanics are so powerful that it doesn't automatically sweep everything, that's just hilarious. There's no other way to put it. But even still, that was 2 special drops, and that was what's needed for our max special Mewtwo to kill. Don't underestimate his bulk. It's really good. And next up we have Mew. Mew doesn't do anywhere near as good as Eternatus, but it kinda does when Reflect is involved. You have Dynamax Cannon, which didn't do that much there. Eterna Beam only does half the Mew. That's probably another reason why you don't bother fishing for crits with it. Because in Mewtwo sending out Amnesias, if you don't get that crit, it is not doing good at all. And there's Mew with max attack, and because of that Reflect, you just OHKO, which is funny, but that's about as good as it gets for Mew. If the EternaMax player knows what they're doing, Mew kind of loses really badly. So, while we see this Mew, like, try to survive, set up, and go for an extra set of Sword Sands it doesn't need, let me just say to you guys, did you know that over 50% of you aren't subscribed? I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. It is currently the 23rd, and I have 976 subscribers. So please like the video and subscribe. It really helps a lot, and I honestly think I can make it in time with your guys' help. And as you see here, we got a lot of wacky and funny scenarios, because that's just how weird Gen 1 is. So, if you like to help out, just subscribe. I make videos like these every day. I also have a Discord server that you should join. And we have a funny series called Generation Jumble, which actually puts my what-if scenarios into a tournament. They're funny. Mewtwo with max attack not doing that much Eternatus is also kind of funny. A crit Earthquake doing barely anything is also funny. I almost said Flamethrower, or not Flamethrower, almost said Hyper Beam, but whatever. But even Explosion does not do that much, and that's with max attack. Okay, I say not that much, but that's really a max attack in Mewtwo, or Mew, hitting a weakened Eternatus, and even that only did 63%. And that's with Explosion having the defense. But to be fair, you have 250, and what is that? 125 with Blissey's HP? Yeah, of course it wasn't going to do that much. Now, next off, we have Tauros. I only went for Blizzard. I didn't bother to see how much Earthquake does, because like I said, I'm pretty sure Flamethrower is your main attacking move, and Blizzard is absolutely nothing. Granted, Flamethrower is... I'm not even sure if that's a 3-hit KO. That might be a 2-hit KO without a crit. Which means there are some sets where Tauros can maybe get lucky with a freeze. That's pretty funny. But it doesn't really matter too much, because even though Mewtwo can do a good job against it, I think it's pretty safe to say this guy does not belong in Ubers. It would definitely not make the meta good under any circumstances. And Snorlax. What do I even say? It can maybe paralyze Eternatus, which, believe it or not, while Sweep and Freeze is better, Paralysis isn't that bad, since it means very important Pokemon like Mew, Exeggutor, Jinx, and most importantly, Starmie Alakazam can outspeed it, which makes their chances of surviving and like recovering off damage to try to PP solve things like Hyper Beam. It gives them a significantly better chance. Most of the time, it won't be enough, but it can happen. It can happen. And Chansey here is funny, because with Light Screen, it cannot do anything to Eternatus, basically. So, it can go for Soft Boils. And Hyper Beam, without a crit, doesn't even do half. So, with only 8 power points, it's both unlikely and also likely at the same time that Chansey can solve the damage, which is funny. So Chansey can either paralyze it to do a better job stalling out those, like Hyper Beams. I'm not sure if that's better than just stalling them out without paralysis, so that you can maybe try to freeze fish. I couldn't tell you. What I do know is that the fact that Chansey has a semi-decent chance of 1v1ing ETERNATUS Eternatus. I'm going to see this a lot in the video, but it's really funny. And once we get to a certain other Pokemon, I'm going to say it's downright hilarious. Now, Zam. Hyper Beam is a 2-hit KO, so you're going to have to just go for Recover and really hope that Hyper Beam doesn't crit. And I guess to be fair, with how strong ETERNAMAX Eternatus is anyways, you might as well go for the fun. You might as well just go for it, because, like, what else are you gonna do? So there's Zam just hanging on for dear life. And I guess the one thing that should be fair is that for a lot of these replays, I was playing very passively. Like when Zam was at 64. It was probably better for Eternatus to attack rather than actually go for Recover. So I will let you guys know that right now. That these replays, more than usual, are not a very accurate representation on how these matches would go. Because for all of these, I was honestly being a little biased and going out of my way to give it the best case scenario for these weaker Pokemon. But to my defense, I will say it's definitely making the video a lot more entertaining. Because, when are you ever going to see an Alakazam hold its own against Eternatus? And it's not even, going for Recovers in an objectively bad way. So, I don't know what else to say. I didn't think it's just fun doing it this way. Like, would you rather I just made, like, a whole bunch of replays for Eternatus subs all day, and then, like, stalls out everything? Doesn't sound fun, now does it? They're going on to the match itself. I just wanted to see how much Eternal Beam did, and it did about the same amount as Hyper Beam. But I'd still probably go for Hyper Beam for Chansey exactly. So, but then the match just kept going on. And I was like, wait, this time Zam actually got a special drop. So does it have an actual chance of winning? And do you think it will? Comment down below if you think Eternatus will crit or not. You're running out of time, so you better hurry up. Or, yeah, it's too late. You leave your comment anyways. I would appreciate it. But Zam managed to win that, and that's pretty cool. Speaking of cool, Cloister Stab Blizzard! It does absolutely nothing. You can freeze it, Mabably. Did I say Mabably? Yeah, I did say Mabably, didn't I? That wasn't even intentional. Oh well, let's just get on to the next one. Now this is where it gets downright hilarious. Because Executor, Flamethrower is only a 3-hit KO, so even a crit doesn't OHKO you. So Sweep is already pretty bad. But here's the outright just hilarious thing. Leech Seed in this format on Executor, I'm gonna say is downright mandatory. Because it's actually just a decent way for you to do decent chip to the Eternatus, as well as heal up your own health. And if the Eternatus is a sweep, assuming it doesn't switch out, Executor can always just 1v1 it. If Eternatus wakes up early, it can still maybe win with crits. But with that healing, you can regain your HP, and you can fish for special drops. But what if the Eternatus is fine because something else was put to sleep? That's a great question. Why don't we find out together, shall we? So, immediately going for that Leech Seed. Granted, it's worth noting I did go for Eternal Beam there. So maybe with Flamethrower, you would probably win anyways. But then again, you can always switch out after you, let's say, like, Leech Seed it. But at least here, you can see that, like, you're healing with Recover, but Leech Seed's also giving you that chip. So maybe going for Eternal Beam at the beginning was really detrimental. But at the same time, like I said, a crit Flamethrower does not kill, but a crit Eternal Beam definitely does. So I'm going to say that this is not a fake replay, and that might actually be the strategy. Because, like, what's the worst case scenario? You switch out after they get, like, a free Psychic on you? But still, this is just... This right here, outside of the special drops, isn't even, like, really abusing any certain Gen 1 mechanic. It's literally just Executor being really bulky, Eternatus not having a great move pool, which is ironic, and Leech Seed just being relevant for the first time in centuries. This is why I love Gen 1 so much, because you never truly expect what's going to be good and what's going to be bad, or what 1v1 matchups might have in store. I'm just going to give you a spoiler alert for tomorrow's video. It's going to be Saucebuck, that deer from Gen 5. No one has ever thought about Saucebuck, but guess what? It has grass coverage, it's part normal type, so with Sword Stance, it 2-hit KOs basically everything with Body Slam and Hyper Beam. And it also has Jump Kick. So that's going to be interesting. I was originally going to make multiple replays with Jinx, to see how much Eternal Beam, Flamethrower, and Hyper Beam does. I don't think it really matters too much, because all three of them either OHKO or they just 2-hit KO. So Jinx can go for Psychic, but unlike Zam, who has Recover, and Eggy, who has Leech Seed, you don't have anything for Jinx really. So you kind of need crits and special drops, or you can just, like, say F it and go for Blizzard and pray you get a freeze, which you probably won't. So unlike some of the others, it's not a could go either way, it's just a bad matchup, but it's still, like, something you can maybe win-ish with Lovely Kiss. The last replay here is Swellbro. And this is probably the worst offender of me just playing for the sake of doing better for Swellbro's sake. But I still think that's more entertaining than just watching Eternatus absolutely dominated with crits. Because that's no fun, you know? So, I don't have much else to say. It's probably, or not better than Jinx, because I guess Jinx does have Lovely Kiss. But assuming another thing's put to sweep, I guess Swellbro does a little bit better. But despite Eternatus not even being an electric type, it has such strong base power moves. It has such powerful, like, a crit rate that it probably beats Swellbro. But then again, like I was saying, Hyper Beam and Flamethrower might be its main attacking moves with Substitute and Recover. And if that's the case, Swellbro can definitely be that fine. I think Swellbro can easily handle a critical Hyper Beam. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's actually better to put this in Could Go Either Way. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm just really unsure of what Eternatus' moveset would be. Because having 2 Dragon-type moves with only 8 base power is... It kind of sucks, but... Is it actually better than Hyper Beam? I'm not sure. Well, either way, here's the tier list. I didn't bother showing you things like Gengar or Zapdos. And while Rhydon can probably hit harder than Mew with Earthquake, is that really worth using or showing when Eternatus has super powerful special coverage? It probably isn't. But yeah, this is just... It was just a really funny video to go over. I always thought that ETERNATUS-ETERNAMAX was kind of boring. Because yeah, it has a bad defensive typing with Poison and Dragon, but when you have Blissey's HP and hard defense to Shuckle, that doesn't matter. And it technically still doesn't, but it is nice to know that some Pokemon such as Zam, Exeggutor, Chansey, and probably Starmie have a chance to take it on. Didn't bother with Starmie because I felt like it would either be just a worse Alakazam or might just fold to the special moves, which means you don't even need Hyper Beam. But who knows. Either way though, this was a surprisingly fun video to go over. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe. This is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.